Hey guys, how you doing? I'm back really fast, and I'm doing this very quickly because last video I talked election, and I didn't get that right, and a lot of people didn't get that right, and there are a few instructive things about this. I think it's worth talking about. Anytime there's one of these, something that maybe is surprising in an election, or any event, there's usually, to some degree, some postmortem, and sometimes some of that stuff is really helpful. So, like a lot of folks, I thought she was going to win. And there were a lot of signs pointing that way. Usually when a candidate has more money and apparently enthusiasm and apparently ground game, that wins elections. And it has over and over and over again for a long time. Usually you can rely upon these things. Now, elections are always tricky, right? 4 years ago, I got the map right. I was 49 of 50 states. I did fine. This year I got killed. Okay, it's not about my predictive abilities, but what I think, what is interesting about this is that this time yesterday, on the afternoon of election day, the word was that the Republicans were nervous as hell, that they were going to get killed, and that Harris's people were feeling pretty good. And then something happened. Something happened that nobody predicted, okay? And that's the crux of the matter. Pollsters, pundits, Republicans, Democrats, nobody really predicted. Nobody got it. Nobody knew yesterday, or for all the months while everyone was talking about it, nobody knew during that entire run-up what we know today. And that is that there's no groundswell. People are saying there's no groundswell for Trump. They're right. His numbers went down. It's either 4, 3, 5 million people in that neighborhood. They didn't vote. There were 5 million, 4 million less votes for Trump this time around than last time. He got less votes. But Harris underperformed Biden by like 12 or 15 million. And not all in one place, just little drips, little all across the country. The word was the Democrats were energized. And it certainly seemed that way. If they'd gone out, they probably would have won. But they didn't show up. They just didn't show up. For whatever reason, they just couldn't vote for her. That is really weird. Okay? Here's another one. Incredible ticket splitting. People in North Carolina voted for Democrats for everything except for president when they voted for Trump. So people voted, it's like saying I'm a communist, except in this role, then I'm a capitalist, right? I mean, you go, well, the philosophies are totally different. Why would you vote against yourself in essence, right? And they like, oh, well, it's vibes. I like him. They have no idea. They have no idea. So I don't think, and no one predicted it, and I don't think anyone could have. It's a very unusual, they happen. There are these come up where it's just gonzo, and nobody gets it right. People talked about the Seltzer poll. I had talked about the Seltzer poll. Seltzer poll has been bellwether for 20 years. In 20 years, she got one election wrong, 2004. Well, 20 years later, she got crushed. Again, Ann Seltzer is no dope. Her information is good, but she got told one thing and then something else happened. They may have had, maybe people said they were going to do something. Didn't happen. It was supposed to be an incredible female vote. The Dobbs thing, which had right along had been seriously energizing for Democrats. No. So there's a lot of stuff here that just makes absolutely no sense. And before you sit there and go, no, you just didn't get it, see? No, nobody saw this way. It's not an ideological thing. People on both sides of every political divide did not see this coming this way for those reasons. Nobody saw that. And to me, there it is. That's the instructive thing, right? You cannot know. You just can't. You can't know the future. You can't know. There are plenty of people saying now the future will be this. They've already got the next 4 years planned out. You know, and I think we're going into a very dark period. But you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. You don't know. We don't know. You could suspect. You could think. There are likelihoods. There are things that are less likely to take place. Yeah. And you might be right. But the truth is you don't know. And things come along that surprise you. Good third of the time. At least. Sometimes more. You know, if you predict any future events and you're somewhere between 60 and 70%, maybe 75, you're really good, boy. Because there's a healthy percentage that's absolute chaos. People have been trying to predict things since the dawn of time. Gamblers love it. So I think there's a takeaway. You can't know. And we don't know. And we can look ahead and go, oh, this is bad. Yeah. My goal in all this is I'm going to outlive the bastards. That's basically my plan. That's part of my plan. The other part is I'll be honest with you, I probably won't talk politics much here because I was never trying to make this a political place in the first place. I'd rather talk music and talk values and culture. But I'm reminded, I think that sometimes, I'm not a huge fan of humanity. Really. Never was since I was a kid. Thought the whole shooting match was a little screwed. And events like this just make me sit there and go, I've tried to speak out and I've tried to, I voted and I've done what I thought I could do. And, you can't fix it. You can't fix these unbelievably bad choices. You can't fix it. And, I was reminded, I thought of today of the great, my heroes are like the great jazz musicians, whether from the 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s, Lester Young and Billie Holiday and Miles and Monk and Train and Wayne Shorter and Bill Evans and Chet Baker and all these guys and girls. But they knew they were in a world that they were never going to fit into. And because they knew that, they didn't try to get the approval of the world. They did not try to fit into the world. The world was never going to dig them. They were never going to dig the world. And they were fine with that. No one understood what they were into or the stuff they were hearing and the art they were producing. No. So they were in a society that was fundamentally opposed to them. And their response to that was to make spectacular art. But man, they were looking over their shoulder. They didn't trust any of it. And they knew how to be survivors. And I think that needs to be my mode for a while. I need to just deal with the tunes because I can't fix this mess. And being involved in something it's just not good for me. Yes. Wake me up when, if I'm needed, I will answer. If there was something I could do and there was a shot to do something that would be helpful, of course. If I could be happy to be involved, I really thought there was a point. But in general right now, I don't think that's going to be helpful for me. So they need to, I can't help this world. This world needs to go fix itself if it can. I doubt it can, but it's on its own. It was on its own anyhow, right? But while the train wreck is train wrecking, I don't need to be watching it because that's all I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to be changing it. So, yeah, I think I'm going to stick to my world and get deep in the shed. You know, I'm going to do my stuff. But I did want to get back about this because we just talked about it. And, you know, I'm perfectly happy to put up a hand and go, yep, I got it wrong because I got it wrong. I don't think it was an unreasonable take. And it was a take plenty of people had. I was listening to a lot of very smart people. And they were flabbergasted too, but none of them got the reason why. And none of them predicted it. And again, it wasn't an ideological thing because nobody on any side saw it go down quite that way. No one had just thought Democrats wouldn't show up. That did not seem, there were less people voted. This was a big one. You'd think this was like last time, it was big, right? No, didn't show up. It's baffling and it's maddening. And I think, you know, listen, if you're like me and you're on that particular side of the fence, if you want to stay involved, great, stay involved. I think it's going to be a slog. And the time will come, hopefully. There's no guarantee. I mean, this is seriously bad. I don't know if there are going to be more elections. I don't think anyone knows. Again, nobody knows. But this is a particularly unstable period. And we've got to keep our head on a swivel. So distancing yourself from it to a degree might be healthy for your head. But, you know, I'll ping it and keep it. I'll always be aware just enough so that I know we've got to look after ourselves. I think that's going to be right now my thing, is worrying about my people, and let's see how we get through this, and then we'll see where it goes. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. Just want to let you know this or hear this, or because I just talked about it, you know, felt like, you know what? There needs to be some kind of debrief on this because I just put it up, and in a very short time, a whole other reality. And but keep in mind that can happen again and again, and it might. And so be ready for that. But if you want to distance yourself a little bit for your own mental health and take some time to be Obi-Wan, yes, I'm going to be Obi-Wan for a bit. I'm going to go off to Tatooine, kind of wait it out a little bit while the craziness ensues. And hopefully there will come a time where people of goodwill will have smartened up a little bit, make better decisions, and then it would make sense to have a conversation in those areas once again. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Keep the faith. Don't get depressed. You just cannot allow yourself to be beat down. You have a responsibility to say, again, you can back off, you can do all sorts of things, but you have a responsibility to just not, you know, don't give the bastards a break, you know. Be careful, be smart, but you should remain defiant. All right, kids, talk to you all soon.